So women's rights and gender equality has always been a topical issue, especially as it concerns Nigeria. In the African continent, it's difficult to find a country, except maybe just recently, in Rwanda, do above 60% of women in politics, especially in parliamentary seats. But across Nigeria and other countries, it's always been a problem. I mean, it's either women are shouting for it or asking for it, begging for it. Some would say, look, in politics, you don't beg for it, you grab it. But even though they are more in numbers, you wonder why they never get to power. Look at the Senate. The Senate is just 4 women, and the House of Reps, well, maybe you could say less than 20. But they haven't been really represented more in that space. So what is the problem? We'll talk about that elaborately with Ambassador Onyii Mamah. She's a women rights and gender promoter. Good to have you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
My pleasure. Why has it become difficult in Nigeria for women to advance to that stage of leading, especially in the political space?
All right. The issue of women, it's one big issue, and I wonder when we're going to reduce the number of topics that culminate with the factor of women politically and marginalization and all of that. So I could tell you that we are culturally entrenched to follow a pattern that views women as second. So there's a subconscious relegation of women, and then there's a conscious relegation of women, and that's the patterning. So values over time has been inundated to allow women to play out from the second position. And so most of the times we curve these things, we push these things deliberately and indeliberately. For example, the family unit, it's one major unit of socialization. But the family subconsciously allows the female to grow with the sense that stronger things should go for the male, and less painful or less stronger things should be pertaining to the women. And so naturally, the boy is told, carry jerry can, you're a man. So the word man keeps ringing. And then the woman is told, wash plates, prepare the houses, do the couches, and all of that. So subconsciously we entrench stereotypes, and it begins to form a perspective that trickles down to the society and never allows the women to blossom out. And so some of these factors is consigning culture, values we entrenched over centuries, transgenerational. It's connected to religion. The religion itself almost synchronizes its pattern with culture. So the political circle over time, you know, I keep saying it, over time has allowed the men to own the terrain. For example, how many political parties has a woman as the chairman of the political party? And you know, the large box of decision emanates from the political circle, right? So if the deciding factors or the deciding personnel are not women, how do they find a space to push themselves into priority areas? So these are the things, all right? So I think the war will be won when women start moving out from the cubicle called women leaders. They relegate you and they give you positions on number 5, number 6, and you are the loudest cheerleader in a political group where your voice doesn't really matter, but your noise. So if women will start thinking around being leaders of the political parties first, in a large sense, you could bring in other women and then make a more prominent noise, because noise varies.
Right.
Yeah, there's an important noise, and then there's a noise that keeps you only at the level of being a cheerleader. And that's where we remain. So if we look at culture, religion, dominance of the political parties and political circle, and then you talk about money. I always share this story on so many platforms. 2022, I formed a group, Women Support Women. And we had about 100 and something women converge. And they said, we've procured our tickets for the primaries. We're aspiring to be candidates of. By the time the primaries were done, we had just about 9 women remaining. And by the time the first section, we had just 2 women in the whole of 113 that I recall that I spoke with or saw or interfaced with. Just 2 are in the State House of Assembly. And you could imagine the level of reduction. So what I saw in that space, that even when I interfaced with women groups and women leaders, and I told them, see this person, she's coming out, they asked me one key question. I hope she has something for us. And brother, believe me, if you don't have something for them, they will leave you and sing for the brother who is about to fleece the money. So money is still a large component for women's participation and inclusion. So
2 key issues you've raised, really, traditionally from the family, and then of course talking about what happens in a political space. Let's speak to issues that relates to the family first, like you have raised. Traditionally, we have people, parents do things that favors the boy child over the girl child. How do you think that relates or equates or in comparison with what happens abroad, where you have the girl child and the boy child in the same house? Do you think that they train them the same way that they do or they don't do in Africa?
all right, so I think one of the key learnings from westernization, it's human rights. Over time, I've come to realize that humans are treated like humans. They are not treated like their gender. I mean, even priority case is given to women. You have a problem with a woman, you leave the house for her.
Abroad?
Yes. But here, even your relatives, your friends, your husband's people will be introducing your husband into throwing you out of the house. You are the woman that leaves, even if the man is at fault. You are the person that comes to apologize to the man, even if you find him cheating. You shouldn't have raised your voice. After all, polygamy is connected to a man. So there are too many things we adopted from the whites that we don't want to inculcate. Westernization is purely connected to human rights, but we don't practice human rights here. We're gender segregative up till this 21st century. So it's one of the key things, because I've had a lot of projects and interface with the whites. I discover these people first visualize people as humans and their rights. But in African climate, what's so particular about Onyii Mamah? It's one phrase you will not find missing in any discussion. If we go deep into a discussion now, you will hear Okwanawani Rapia. It's relegating. It's one of the things that find us where we are.
Where did that come from, though? Is it from the tradition, from
So
culture?
I said, subconsciously, culture entrenched it. Because we grew with the value and the norm that a woman should not really be so hard. After all, she shouldn't be hard anyway. She should be seen. A woman should be inside, taking care of the home, the children, catering for the needs of the home. And then the man should be the wild dog, the lion, facing. But recently you see women doing the wild things, capturing the fronts, taking care of their families, and they're still expected to be submissive to a man who doesn't even understand his rules. So some of these things were culturally calculated into our softwares to behave as if, yes, of course, we are second. You know, I tell people there's a big difference between looking for a submission and finding subjugation. A wife who backs in the euphoria of submission if the natural things happen. But she will wallow in subjugation if you keep wearing it out on her. I got married to you, I paid your dowry. You know, some of these things has a way of bringing someone to a point. You know, I paid your dowry, I married you, so you procured one of your furnitures. That's, you know, these are some of the definitions it gives to women. So even when they are not voicing it, they are not saying it, they have this patterning. They have a value to believe that yes, I was bought, I was handed over. So there's a relegation there.
So the other aspect would be, you know, even in political parties where you have women that are more, you still see them unable to ascend. You know, some people would say that there's this thing about women hating on each other. I mean, if it's not me, it can be another woman. This thing that exists amongst women that makes it difficult, that even if you have 10 people in one place with 8 being women, they'll rather actually pinpoint the 2 guys to be the head of that team than any of them. Do you agree with that? Okay,
so I think the relationship of men and women, nature is taking a due course. We naturally find ourselves working better when it's man and woman. And then when it's woman and woman, there's this friction for the ones who foundationally have competitive spirits and not self-aware. I tell people everywhere, a self-aware woman will never compete with another woman. You will never slander her, you will never fight her. But when the fight creeps in gradually, there's this thing in women to naturally try to prove to you that you cannot do anything. Even when she cannot do nothing, she wants to prove. So I have noticed that friction. I've dealt with women, I have women group. I will automatically submit to you that I've seen a whole lot of scenario play out. Women have so many frictions, and that friction is because just a minute number of women are self-aware. So I've seen the guys hate on each other, really hate on each other, banter, but they sit over it and they let it go because the guys have less things to compete about.
So where did that friction come from? How do you deal with that kind of friction? Because it is when you are able to deal with that you can now start saying, okay, we're high in number, we can vote this person to be our leader, to lead the political party. Because it's also part of the problems that some political parties face. It's not like they don't have women to lead, but women themselves in that political party are not able to even vote them to be in positions.
So aside from money, women look out for things men hardly notice. If I drive into a political party, the women will look at my vehicle, they will look at, is she wearing gold? They should come with a designer, Google, and so many things we observe that the men are less interested in. So by the time you begin to equate, is she bigger? Am I richer? Is she wearing a hair? Am I wearing a thread? And all of that.
Why does that matter for a woman?
I don't know. These frictions, they come with women because we keep looking. And you know, women is connected to beauty and aesthetics. So by the time you start equating, if you're not self-aware, there's a tendency for you to blow up with either competition or jealousy. And so because they have issues of always wanting to measure up each other, that's why the hatred people keep shouting about come from. Naturally, why are you angry with another woman? What did she do? She did nothing. It's just that you're measuring up. Who is bigger? Who is finer? Who is wearing hair? Who is wearing designer? Who is on gold? I've dealt with those people for 50 years. So I'm telling you from the place of less argument and reality. But I've also found deep-rooted women lovers like me. That's practically what I've been doing all the years of my interventions. Trying to let women see from the mirror of working for themselves, loving each other, and understanding that we have the critical mass to beat the show. Because the show is always on. We just need to be together to hit that show up. And the men, they understand this metrics. They understand this calculation. And so every time they capitalize on the tiny weaknesses that they find that come out from those women and use it to win. Imagine if a man is coming to a self-aware woman like me and you're telling me, see that woman, don't vote for her. Unless she's not credible and competent. And for me, if you're not credible and competent as a woman and you come to me and I have a level of communication with you, I will automatically tell you to go and build up your CV and see if you can. I will not push you because you have money, because you need a lot of loads, capacity filled level loads to face politics. There's a lot of metrics in politics that you need to understand, not just coming from the place of having money, but because a lot of things will be involved. So that we're saying women inclusion, women participation, doesn't mean I'm looking for empty people. I'm looking for very credible, competent women. I can support you at any level, but maybe not always political. For me, if you come out to face politics, you have to be loaded. You have to have money, and you have to have the brilliance to face the wolves. I've never seen a circle that is more contaminated with political people called wolves than politics. There's too much metrics and I can't even meddle with it.
Is that not the reason why women are running away from politics?
Because for the first time in 2022, I told you, 85% increase occurred. Lots of women came out and they said, okay, we're picking from various parties. But eventually, with the number they came out is with the number they went back. And so beyond that, the step was convincing for me because we've never seen it in the history of Enugu and even Nigeria. I don't know how it happened. Lots of women came out, but very poor number of women succeeded, especially in Enugu, went from 4 to 2. So, but this time around, if I'm to advise, there are very reasonable things I will share with people who are interested in coming out in politics, because the game doesn't start in the year. Absolutely. Yeah. So I had very serious conversation with stakeholders who have been in the game, and they taught me the maths. They said people don't start canvassing to win in the year when they are out. You start canvassing 2 years earlier. True. Yeah. There's this thought about politics in Africa as being a very dirty game. Many of these politicians and politics are actually played in the wee hours of the day, and it's not really a good time for a woman coming at that time. In fact, in this part of the world, when a woman is in politics, there's this eye that's, is looking at you already as being someone who is dirty, because politics is dirty. How do you think a woman can navigate that system? You have mentioned just here that you have to be really strong and be ready to face the wolves. And you've practically described politics as maybe a Wolverine, department. So how does a woman navigate these things and still keep her dignity in the eyes of the society? All right, so don't let people identify you, because the people are certainly going to talk from what they perceive as who you are. But I also think that we should stop fearing for women treading in the night. They are humans, and humans go in the night. Everyone should be security conscious, including the man. The man should be threatened about, night marauders, armed robbers, kidnappers, so also the woman. If the political party certainly and definitely puts up a meeting for the wee hours of the day, let the woman come as a human being and not as a woman. Because I first see humans before I see gender. Nothing differentiates our capacities except from our biological makeup. And then I've seen some women beat through the wild times and conquer. So if there are women who have really conquered, there will certainly be more numbers coming to conclude.
Yeah, it's quite difficult. The reason I say that is because, I mean, you tell a woman to come around 12 midnight for a meeting, and then that mean the meeting is practically finishing at 3, and she has to be up again to, fend for the kids in the morning going to school. And then you wonder, what husband would accept that kind of woman to be their wives?
All right, so, I mean, politics is not all year, all year, all year. It's for a certain period, right? So the husbands that understand the political attitude of their wives should be able to cushion the moment. Understand that from now till the primaries or the main election, she has to go wild. Wild not because she's sleeping around, but wild because too many unprecedented movements will certainly come up. I'm an advocate of a man that will even carry the wife to the place, probably get its support staff at home for the kids. It's just for a moment. I mean, we don't do election and politics every year. It's for a certain time, every 4 years. So within the moment, this can be cushioned, can be managed. I don't want us to keep, allowing too many factors to mitigate against the woman's participation. No, these things can be managed.
It comes down to the man allowing. It's a permission. He has to allow that to happen. If he doesn't accept it, then it comes down to friction.
Yeah.
So how important do you think men would be in advocacy for women in politics?
All right, so we have a lot of he for she's. These men are women promoters, women lovers. These men have women that are politically sound, making waves in politics. They are still married, they are happy, and there's not anybody coming to advocate for peace in their homes. So why we talk about this, we try to project positive masculinity. Yes, you're a man. You can decide you don't want your wife to move. But what if her not moving is imprisoning the talents that I have, or the skills she has to use to make her name and ends meet. So we should also think about it. While trying to play out male chauvinism, authoritative husband, also think about the fact that this woman has some potentials embedded in her that you can keep at a place and it will die off. So sometimes I think it's about agreeing and knowing the kind of man you're married to. A man who is insecure will automatically cause a lot of political chaos at home.
True.
Yeah, because he will misinterpret the night, misinterpret the men that call you at wee hours, misinterpret the laughter you're giving to another man. So a man with a high level of, sexual insecurity or all of that may not promote a politician at home. Yes.
And that you think is a big factor?
It's a very huge one. But again, who are the husbands of those women that came out in 2022? So I think it's about us beginning to unlearn, and then relearn some of the things that held us tight to the ground and didn't let us move. If you're sure of the woman you have, it's just like my husband seeing me in the midst of 1,000 men and you tell me he will be worried. He will go to sleep like 1,000,000 times. Yes. So because you need to be sure of who you're married to. You need to be sure of who you're married to. That also leads us to decision and, selection. Be careful about who you're married to. Don't marry someone who doesn't really understand their track. They suddenly tell you they're interested in politics. And you're wondering why. Meanwhile, she has never done well in her little space. Now she wants to delve into politics. So it's suspicious.
Right. Let's talk about the role of the religious institution. How much of that do you think that the religious institution in Africa is playing to, foster this equality between genders?
Yeah. Do you know religion is part of the reason why there's poor participation of women in politics?
Really?
Yes. Religion, it's an opium, it's a guide, it's a lord, it's an invisible lord that patterns Christians or even its worshippers to a certain place. And so in the scale of women coming out to participate with people who can ask you for anything. A lot of people are scared of going to politics. Do you know that the latest and the best grade of our people will never come out to participate in politics because of the name politics has been given, and that's because of religion. A lot of religious people will tell you, I respect you a lot. If I see in politics, I will lose my respect for you. That's religion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because politics has been tagged. And who is telling you that the person coming to the new front is not going to bring the new change? They don't believe you're bringing a change in Nigeria. So if religion has a little shift from the perspective it has spread over years and time, it's also going to help us. If the church comes to say, we're picking you when you come, do you know what it means? If the Catholic Church comes to say, we're picking on you, or the Anglican Church is saying, we're picking on you, do you know the numbers? And once the people say, it's our bishop, or it's our cardinal, or it's our archbishop, do you know what it means? It means winning. So the religious body, it's a critical body for good politics to happen. That's why they need to rethink.
But you wonder whether is it not the same doctrine that they preach outside the shores of the country, or actually the shores of Africa, that they preach in Africa? I mean, why is it different doctrine over there? That is, you said it's a major issue. Why is it not an issue abroad?
Mindset, perspective. That's why I said we need to have a shift. In abroad, everything they do is first visualizing people as human before gender.
Even before religion?
Yes, and that's why they have allowed a lot of genders. Because they are not really concerned about what you want to be. If you want to be a cat, if you want
as long as you're competent enough,
just be a human being. So they have a central word. That's humanity, humans. That's why their human rights is capitalized. It's really entrenched. But for us in Africa, we're still looking at man, woman, woman's. Do you know, my husband lived in Copenhagen for over 15 years. And he told me the white man is not interested in who he's seeing. He's interested in what you're bringing to the table, no matter your age, your physiological makeup, or whatever your gender wants to be. And that has really helped that part of the world. But believe me, you come into some places and they look at you, they say, nothing mother, woman, young woman, old woman, components that limit us. You don't even know what the breastfeeding mother is bringing to the table.
All right. Ambassador Onyii Mamah, we'll just leave it here for now. I mean, it's a continuous discussion that relates to women's rights and gender, basically, especially in Africa. It's a tortuous topic, but it's something that would actually just expand further, maybe a little later. Many thanks for your time, which we really appreciate.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, we're back.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.